I am in Parque de Nações. It means Park of the Nation in Portuguese. That's right, I am in Portugal. It is absolutely gorgeous here. Look at this place. There's these incredible buildings over there, which I guess you probably can't see on the camera, but they're amazing. And you got all these flags here, because it is, of course, Park of the Nation, and a giant sculpture over there, right here, made out of garbage cans. So we're going to join those themes together, and today we're going to talk about political correctness in the workplace and green initiatives in the workplace. So I figured just join that all together. All right. Let's first discuss why people need political correctness in the workplace. What is the actual purpose of being politically correct? Generally, the idea is to form a psychological safety, meaning that people can speak openly about their feelings and thoughts as long as it doesn't offend somebody else without fear of repercussion of being belittled. So for a random example, if you go back, I don't know, 40 years or so, someone who was not of the heterosexual orientation would be highly unlikely to discuss that in a public workspace, whereas today I don't think anyone really cares that much. It doesn't affect much. Okay, that's the general idea, to form a psychological safety in the workplace. That's the purpose of political correctness. Now, besides the psychological safety aspect, it tends to also overshoot and end up having a reverse effect, meaning that people are afraid to discuss what really shouldn't be anything of concern. Meaning, I've heard people afraid to refer to other people by their physical appearance. If they describe someone, they're afraid to call him a black guy, a white guy, an Indian guy, whatever it is, when they're trying to describe their physical appearance. There is nothing inherently wrong with doing that, though. So that is the negative aspect of being overly politically correct. It kind of goes overboard. There is nothing wrong with describing someone's physical appearance as long as it's obviously not done in a derogatory manner. If you say, oh, that fat person, that could be taken wrong. But if you're describing the person as generally big, I guess that's somewhat acceptable, somewhat. Okay, anyway, look at this place. It's just glorious. Portugal, my God. All right, so now what else is there? I'm going to not go onto here because there's an enormous echo, and I think everyone sitting there is going to be disturbed by me. It's really loud. Okay, now let's talk about other aspects of political correctness in the workplace. Diversity hiring is the big one, the huge taboo. What exactly is diversity hiring? It basically means hiring people based on who has the best qualification, regardless of what their race or color or creed is. That's the general idea of diversity hiring, to take a diversity of people, get a mix of people all together and hire them. Hire them where not everyone is of the same race and color in a workplace. That's the theory, of course. Unfortunately, it honestly backfires. It royally backfires, in fact. It backfires terribly. A lot of times these diversity hiring initiatives end up being initiatives to hire a specific race over other races, regardless of the fact that one candidate may be much better than the other, but they don't fit that racial profile. It's essentially reverse racial profiling in a lot of employment situations. Okay, you have all these initiatives, and I'm not going to list them out because it's probably going to just get people angry at me. But the reality is, whether people hire based on a gender or a race, it's inherently that is not diversity hiring. That is using diversity hiring as an excuse for a form of racism, gender profiling, or whatever it is. You can't do those things. You're hiring people because they are of some form of minority, some form of less common, trying to figure out the politically correct way of saying this, less common preferences, social preferences. That's not called diversity hiring. I got news for you. That's called racism. The definition of racism is to segregate somebody solely based on the principle of race, color, creed, or religion. That is what racism is. It has nothing to do with what religion, color, or creed that person is. Okay, you could be a racist white person, which is what most people assume, or you could be any other color in the rainbow, and that's still racism. When I hire, I use a philosophy, and then I also let my team know that this is my philosophy. I call it color blindness. I'm not the first person to use that term, by the way. I didn't coin that term, but it's not commonly used. I believe in being colorblind in your hiring. At this point in my career, I've literally hired someone from just about every race and religion, as well as a few handicapped people, okay, with legally handicapped. So, you could really honestly say, if you can't do that, if you can't look at candidates in a colorblind manner, you're not really doing diversity hiring justice. You're actually using diversity hiring as a crutch for racism, and that's terrible. So I want to make that like real clear, and I know that's probably aggravating a lot of people watching this when I want to hear that, but think about it. Think about what I'm saying. Diversity hiring, the whole point of it is for diversity, meaning everybody. If all your candidates who are the best people for the role turn out to be white males from wealthy upbringings, that's okay. That's the best candidates for their job. Okay, there is nothing wrong with that. That isn't usually how it works out, though. If you are generally colorblind, you usually end up with a colorful mix of people, to put it very bluntly. Okay, but I mean, don't do that. You know, really. I hate when I see these initiatives and it says, fill in the race here for technology, or this type of gender for some other industry. I hate that because that's not diversity. That's reverse racism, in my opinion. And I know that opinion is going to aggravate, and I'm going to get people commenting, but it's not reality. Just think about what I'm saying. The purpose is to build up, I hope that wind isn't making too much noise. The purpose is to build up a team, a diversity team, from people who are the best at what they do without any accountability in terms of race or color. Accountability is the wrong word. Without accounting for race or color when you make that hiring decision. When you look at a resume, most of the time you cannot tell what religion a person is or gender, although occasionally the names give it away, or their history, that the extracurricular history they put on the resume might put it away, like if they attend a church or mosque, or if they volunteer somewhere in a religious institution or whatever. But usually when you look at a resume, you can't tell what the person looks like until they show up. Now, I'm right now in Europe, where they give a CV instead of a resume. And in the CV, a lot of times people put their age, which is actually illegal in the United States for an employer to ask for that, but they put their age and they put their picture, and so you have all sorts of opportunities to not do diversity hiring, let's say. Specifically, ageism is a problem. But this is Europe, and in the United States, we have no such issues with a resume as opposed to a CV. Now, okay, the wind is blowing, and I'm hoping that's not killing the audio. All right, so now let's talk about, since we've covered diversity hiring to death, and I'm sure I'm going to get all the angry people saying, no, it's not, it is. Okay, diversity means exactly what it is, not specifying race or creed when you hire people, not limiting in any way, shape, or form, okay? Next, let's talk about green initiatives, since we had all those garbage pails in a... Oh my God, the wind is so strong. I hope you can still hear me. Let's hope. Let's talk about those garbage pails and green initiatives, okay? Very important that if you do a green initiative in your workplace, that the purpose of it is obviously to make the impact, that's obvious, the green impact, and it also to generally encourage your employees to go in a green direction. If your green initiative has a reverse effect, then it's not really good for the workplace. It might be good for the environment, but I've seen all sorts of things backfire. Okay, when you cut out the plastic straws that people are enjoying using when they eat in the kitchen, wow, that just moved under my foot. Look at that. That was a little bit scary. There's water under me. Okay, when you cut out plastic straws from the kitchen in your workplace because you think you're doing a good thing, but then your employees have nothing to drink out of. It's annoying, and especially when they mix it and they replace them with paper straws that melt in your cup, and you end up using 3 of them to get through your soda. So, okay, now, green initiatives are great for employee morale if done correctly, because people love to feel like they're contributing to the environment and doing good stuff. And it's not that hard to recycle. Let's talk about when you don't do them. I've worked in a workplace that was a federally funded workplace, mind you, and they had no such green initiatives. On the contrary, they didn't even recycle in the office. And at one point there was a day when they said, oops, we made a mistake with the stationery that we distributed to everybody. Our logo is like the wrong font. I kid you not. It was like off by like a pixel or something. And they told everyone, take your entire stationery that we just printed up for you like a week ago, throw it in the garbage, we're gonna give you new ones. And you cannot use the old ones, and you cannot in any way utilize these paper because it's wrong. It's wrong. And like the entire office has to throw away brand new stationery that you know is used. The federal funds were paid for. It was purchased with federal funds. Wow, these are all moving under me. It's kind of freaky. Purchased with federal funds, and you know, it's really, really demoralizing when you got to throw away all that paper that was brand new and just printed up. That is demoralizing. Now, I was working with someone in that office, and she said, okay, you know what? I'm gonna start to put a recycling bin and try to recycle these things. If I tell you how bad that backfired, they penalized her for having this recycling bin because she threw her stationery in there, and she also let other people throw their papers in there to be recycled, and she was taking it home and dropping it in her home recycling bin as her own green initiative, essentially. What happened? The upper management found out about this. Talk about minutia and micromanagement. They found out about this, and they penalized her for taking private documents off the premises. I kid you not. That's how to kill morale. Okay, don't do that. That's just such a sad story. I saw it with my own eyes. Oh, that place was terrible for employee morale. Anyway, federal funds going to good work. Okay. Now let's talk about some other political correctness. Gendering restrooms is a hot topic today. What do you do when you have a percentage of the population that considers themselves not to be part of the binary genders, male or female? How do you deal with all that restroom business? So the ideal situation is have single-use restrooms, single-stall restrooms, meaning that the entire facility has only one stall in it, and you might have separate doors to each one with a self-contained restroom. That's only good in theory because most people don't have, not most people, but many people don't have the real estate and the facilities to do that. You have a restroom with multiple stalls and multiple different people use the different stalls. That's pretty normal. So how do you manage that? Honestly, it's an open-ended answer. First question is, do you have anybody in your office who really cares? If it matters to someone, then you probably could consult with them on what to do. And if you've already got a situation, meaning where you have multiple people in your office who may fit that, at that point, it's important to actually take it into consideration and consider the comfort of who's there. Now, it's not a simple topic because the reality is that the aspect of degendering restrooms makes heterosexual people uncomfortable in a lot of situations, okay? When you have these ungendered restrooms that have multiple stalls in them, meaning that people of both genders are using the same restroom, a lot of people are not comfortable with that. I would say you're gonna have more uncomfortable people in that scenario than if you just left it as male and female and let the people who don't feel like they fit into that figure it out for themselves. Now, what you could do, and what a lot of people do, is simply relabel the doors, okay? I've seen these, male are those who identify as such, and female are those who identify as such. If that works and that makes everybody happy, God bless them. I saw the funniest sign on one of these single individual restrooms where it has only one stall, and it had a picture of a stick figure of a male, another stick figure of a female, and a third stick figure where it was cut in half like someone who's both. And I thought that was very comical, and that works great if you have like a single-use restroom. That's fine. The problem is when you have the restrooms that have multiple people in it and urinals and stuff like this. It's genuinely a problem. I don't have a good solution, but my best solution is consult the people who are there, and if they suggest something that you think will make the remainder of the people uncomfortable, then don't do it. Explain it to them that that will make the other people uncomfortable, and figure out and that they have to help you figure out a solution if they want it, if that's important to them and they want it implemented. There's no real good solution for this, because for many generations at this point, society has had a dual gender restroom system, and now in the 21st century that's all coming to a change with no obvious solution. So I don't know the answer to that. Really, I don't. So I definitely think, though, if I was in that situation, and I haven't been, not because I haven't had people like that in my premises. I've had plenty of people actually in my facilities who don't consider themselves to fit the binary gender role, but we always have had single use bathrooms, meaning the entire facility is in one room, so it's irrelevant whether the gender of the person. We just wrote restroom. That was the label on the doors. So I've never encountered that problem, but I know it's a serious problem when you have a multiple person use bathroom. Okay. Oh, wow, the wind is blowing so strong. I hope that is not going to kill the audio here, but it is gorgeous. Look around. There's a sailboat behind me. There are like cable cars up there. There's a whole bunch of sailboats docked in the distance there. Oh my God, and that incredible bridge. Portugal's incredible. All right, the wind where I just was got a little bit too much. I was right there about 50 meters, 50 yards over, and I just couldn't keep recording there, as beautiful as it was. So I've moved. I'm still in Parque de Nações, though, and it's still incredible here and absolutely beautiful. Now, to go on with the theme of recycling, how can you take recycling to the next level? Kick it up one more notch. How do you get one better than recycling? Well, that's upcycling. Upcycling is the most overlooked aspect of green initiatives, I think. Upcycling means, rather than recycling something, give it a new home. Give an object a new home, a new use. Okay? A great example of this is many companies will lease their computers, so they get new computers for the employees every so many months. Now that seems like a great idea from a management perspective, but it's not really, because it's wasteful. I mean, who needs to lease them? You could buy them and give them away when you're done, and generally the cost isn't so significantly different. If your computers reach the end of their useful lifespan within your organization, instead of actually sending them to be recycled or giving them back at the end of a lease, you're far better off giving them to the employees, just straight up. You tell them every year you get a new computer working here, every 2 years, however long you want to invest in the hardware. You know what kind of incentive that is for a lot of people? I think a lot of people would love to have a new computer every year just because they work at your place. And it doesn't really cost that much if you're anyway going to cycle through hardware that quickly, or however, 2 years, whatever your normal lifespan is. But the employees know that after they work there a certain amount of time, they get to keep the machine. That's a big incentive. That's upcycling. Now you can also just give them to charity, donate anything pretty much that comes to its end of life. You donate it, don't throw it away. I've seen so many places with so many valuable things thrown in the trash. Just lots of places. New York is really infamous for that, actually, for having incredible things that people throw away. There's lots of Craigslist posts, what they call curb alerts, which is, I don't know if you're not familiar with that expression, it basically means an alert that there's something valuable on the curb. Someone might want to go get it. Seriously, it's a big thing in New York. I'd imagine it's everywhere, but it's more prominent in New York than anywhere I've seen, where people are throwing away really valuable stuff. It's amazing. People do this stuff. It's demoralizing, honestly, though. When you work somewhere and they throw away things that employees cannot even necessarily afford, it's pretty demoralizing. I mean, think of like the person who's the janitor, the custodian, who's making minimum wage probably, and you're throwing away objects that are hundreds of dollars worth. Now, mind you, that person's probably collecting them out of the trash, but good for him, you know? That's the way to do it. But why do that? Why not give things away? There's lots of charities that take stuff. There's lots of good purposes that can be found. Now, I've heard of food establishments being afraid to do this because if someone gets food poisoning from the food they give away, then they become liable. So I get it. I get why you'd want to discard it as opposed to upcycle things, certain things like food. But many objects, really, give them another life and make sure that it's your company policy to do that, and that as such, the employees know that that's your company policy, because that builds morale. That makes people feel good. They're working in a green environment, and not just green because we have a recycling bin and we throw our paper in there, but green like we actually give things another life. Most items used in an office place would definitely have an extra life in someone else's environment, meaning that what they throw, well, that's pointing the camera at the sun, sorry about that. What they throw away probably has use to somebody somewhere. Not probably, fairly definitely, okay? Most furniture in an office, someone would want that. Most consumables that are unused, like toner, someone is gonna want that. Most objects in an office, someone is gonna want that. So don't throw your stuff away, please. It's demoralizing if you do, and it builds morale if you don't, if you upcycle it. So, that's all I got. And come out to the absolute beautiful Portugal. It's just stunning here, honestly. Okay, Parque de Nações, the Park of the Nations. Wow, check out these pigeons. Anyway, thank you all for watching. Please subscribe, like, and share this. And I'll see you all in the next video. Not necessarily in Portugal though, but somewhere in the world. Later, guys.
Yeah!